Hey everybody, time for another game theory video. Remember, if you like the videos, like, sub, silly comment, share, support the channel if you can. I appreciate it, thanks. Super chat, PayPal, Patreon. Again, if you want to support the channel, it does help, thanks. So we're going to do another one of those. What's old is new again, right? Gotta keep the channel active. So let's talk about the argument for one button throws. What a great little still frame I have right here. Ryu is looking at the other Ryu like, are you serious? You like one button throws? Again, I've made this video before, but keeping the channel active. And this isn't to say that I don't like two button throws, because I do think it actually feels fun when you tech a throw with two buttons when you're doing like a duck little kick or whatever. You know, it's kind of a fun little depth to the game when they have that. But ultimately, I just think that there's more depth when there's one button throws. So let's look at some examples of this. Even an example of old Ryu versus new Ryu, right? So we have a tick throw right here. But remember, you can try to hurricane kick out of a tick throw, right? So let's say we do this with old Ryu though, right? I go for the hard punch, so he's doing the hurricane kick. Well, hard punch hits high, right? Now let's look at an example of here. This shows, again, a added layer of depth that one button throws actually add, right? Well, in this instance, right, because I'm super turbo Ryu, well, if I do the rush fierce, that's slower, right? Because, you know, the attack's not going to come out. So now hurricane kick beats this. So this means in this instance, I might want to do a medium kick or a hard kick, right? Oh, do you see? Now that beats it, right? So it would actually be better to throw with those buttons, right? Even though they're the quotation marks, same character. And this is what I get into, that there's actually a layer of depth, another layer of depth with one button throws that two button throws don't have. Let's look at an example of, I often say, you know, Guy is a hated character in Alpha 1, right? For some maybe real reasons, but so let's say I'm going to do a throw, right? Well, we know with Ryu, actually, if we're talking about, again, one button throws, because the hurricane kick isn't actually totally invincible, well, guess what? This means that I should try to throw with the hard kick, right? Because look, oh, hard kick beats it. And while I do that, I option select with the DP, which you see there, right? So if we see this, right? Well, let's say Guy goes for one of the hurricane kicks that has quotation marks more invincibility. But guess what? Those ones aren't throw invincible. I'll show it again. What if I try to super? Oh, well, fuck. We can look at that again. Because I was doing the throw with hard kick, layered with the DP. That's a pretty interesting layer that you don't have with two button throws, right? And of course, this is when I talk about the balance and the chaos of games, that we can have multiple powerful moves, because something like Guy's hurricane kick, although it is very powerful, remember, it's not totally invincible. So if we have an attack that aims at certain ranges, we can still beat it, right? Now, let's look at something like this. Well, another layer of depth to a game like Alpha 1, if we think about throws and everything like that. So let's say if I were to try a throw, right? You can see, guys, he's about to attack, and you know, you can, but maybe if you think the guy's going to throw, so what if I try to duck little kick out of it? Well, duck little kick is slow. Well, something strange they did with Guy, though, in the game is they actually made his fastest normal his sweep. So this means that Guy, to get out of certain tick throws, he has to do a very fast normal, but it's also his most punishable normal. The one normal that he can't actually cancel, well, was stand hard kick, but stand hard kick you can link out of it, right? Again, that's something I talk about, the balance and the chaos of old school games, right? That isn't possible if you just have two button throws. Again, I know two button throws allow you to do the duck little kick stuff, option select, which is, I think, is fun, but now let's look at something like this. Let's give Guy a little bit of love here. We know normally when, let's say, with the hard kick throw, his knee bash throw is the best, because you can juggle after it, you can mash it, it can potentially do a lot of damage, right? However, this throw is actually not as good if the opponent were to try to get out of it. Why? Because let's say this. Guy goes for duck little kick. He tries the roundhouse. Well, guess what? It's slow, and it's not going to beat Ryu if he hurricane kicks. But guess what? Let's go back to what I originally showed with the super turbo. In this instance, right? Well, guess what? I can fierce, which hits higher if the guy were to try to jump or to, you know, hurricane kick, right? And then I can boom, boom, cancel to hurricane kick. Oh, shit. So now I actually got more damage than I would have gotten either way, basically, right? Super. Again, this is just showing that sometimes you might think a game is archaic for not having whiff throws or 2-button throws, but these are examples that show that it actually makes the game more in depth, and it allows for that. Again, I always say the balance and the chaos of games, of it allows other moves to actually be very powerful as well, and then somehow, like Jurassic Park, nature will find a way. Again, not that I don't think the 2-button throws are fun, because I do think it's fun. I remember casually playing Street Fighter 4 before, and it feels very natural to tech throws while you're doing a duck little kick. It feels good, but ultimately this just has more layers, I think. I shouldn't say I think, I feel like I know, but anyway. If you like the videos, like, sub, silly comment, share, support the channel. Again, I know it's kind of an old video and stuff I've talked about, but this isn't something that I talk about a lot, but I don't know, probably more health videos to come. I'm sure you can hear it in my voice. Not good news from doctor stuff. What are you going to do? But I'm going to try to keep the channel active video game wise when I can, I guess.